Lost Generation, 1883 to 1900. This generation was profoundly influenced by their experiences in World War I, which left many feeling disillusioned about the world's future. The term was popularized by writers like Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald, who captured the existential uncertainty of the time. Many from this generation questioned traditional values and norms, leading to a cultural shift that emphasized modernist thinking and the exploration of new artistic expressions. Their experiences led to significant changes in literature, arts, and perspectives on life and society. Greatest Generation, 1901 to 1927. Born in the early 20th century, this generation faced the Great Depression and World War II. Their formative years were marked by economic hardship and global conflict, yet they are celebrated for their resilience, work ethic, and the sacrifices they made to secure a better future for subsequent generations. They built strong national economies in the post-war period and are often credited with establishing modern American middle-class prosperity. Silent Generation, 1928 to 1945. Growing up during the economic depressions and world conflicts, the Silent Generation developed characteristics of conformity, caution, and discipline. They were called silent because they were considered less outspoken than the preceding and succeeding generations, focusing instead on building stable careers and families. This generation contributed to the post-war boom in a more subdued manner, preferring to work within the system rather than dismantle it. Baby Boomers, 1946 to 1964. The post-World War II era saw a significant increase in birth rates, defining this generation. Baby boomers grew up during a period of prosperity and overall optimism, which led to a focus on individual empowerment and societal improvement. They were at the forefront of the civil rights, feminist, and anti-war movements, driving much of the cultural and political change of the 1960s and 1970s. Their impact on politics, culture, and the economy has been profound and enduring. Generation X, 1965 to 1980. Often characterized as the latchkey generation, Gen Xers grew up during a time of increasing divorce rates and both parents working, leading to traits of independence and resilience. They witnessed the rise of personal computing, contributing to a tech-savvy and adaptable mindset. Despite facing economic challenges such as the dot-com bubble burst, they are often seen as the bridge between the analog and digital worlds. Millennials, or Generation Y, 1981 to 1996. Millennials came of age during the internet boom, which has significantly shaped their communication habits, work preferences, and worldviews. They value diversity, flexibility, and innovation, often pushing for changes in traditional work environments and societal norms. Known for being highly educated yet facing economic pressures like the housing market crash, they are often more cautious about financial security than previous generations. Generation Z, 1997 to 2012. Known as the first true digital natives, Gen Z has been exposed to the internet, social media, and mobile technology from a very young age. This exposure has influenced their highly pragmatic and progressive attitudes. They value authenticity, mental health, and inclusivity, often advocating for social justice and environmental issues. Their approach to consumption is more cautious, and they prefer experiences over material goods. Generation Alpha, 2013, present, the offspring of millennials. Generation Alpha is growing up in a world dominated by technology, with AI, robotics, and high-tech communication being norms. This generation is expected to be the most formally educated and technologically immersed. Although still very young, they are being shaped by global events like the COVID-19 pandemic, which will likely influence their future educational and social development preferences. Progressive Generation, 1843 to 1859. Coming of age during the American Civil War, this generation was deeply involved in the tumultuous changes of their time, including significant shifts in social and economic structures. They were early advocates for broad reforms such as labor rights and women's suffrage, setting the stage for the progressive movements that would follow in the early 20th century. Missionary generation, 1860 to 1882. Raised during the Gilded Age and coming of age in the Progressive Era, this generation was known for their idealism and moral reform. They were deeply involved in efforts to address social issues such as poverty, women's rights, and the regulation of unchecked industrialization. Their efforts laid the groundwork for many modern social policies and governmental reforms. Gilded Generation, 1822 to 1842. This generation witnessed the rapid expansion of the American industrial landscape and the complexities of an economy buoyed by technological innovation, but marred by deep social inequalities. Their experiences during America's westward expansion and the early days of industrial capitalism shaped their views on economic and social policies. Transcendental Generation, 1792 to 1821. Influenced by the philosophies of transcendentalism, which emphasized the importance of the individual, intuition over doctrine, and a deep connection to nature. Figures such as Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau were prominent voices who inspired movements towards reform in education, religion, and social structure. Republican Generation, 1767 to 1791. Active participants in the early years of the United States, they were shaped by the ideals of the American Revolution and the formation of the new republic. Their governance and philosophical ideas were heavily influenced by Enlightenment principles, which emphasized liberty, democracy, and a break from authoritarian rule. Liberty Generation, 1742 to 1766. Grew up during the formative years leading up to the American Revolution. This generation was deeply involved in the ideological and physical battles that established American independence from British rule, characterized by a strong desire for freedom and self-governance. Awakening Generation, 1721 to 1741, named after the First Great Awakening, a period characterized by widespread religious enthusiasm and the growth of evangelical movements. This generation experienced a shift towards personal piety and devotion, influencing the religious landscape of America significantly. Enlightenment Generation, 1701 to 1720, their thinking and philosophies were shaped by the Enlightenment, emphasizing reason, science, and the questioning of traditional authority. Their intellectual pursuits laid the groundwork for modern democratic ideals and scientific advancement. Glorious Generation, 1680 to 1700, experienced the effects of the Glorious Revolution in Britain, which established constitutional monarchy and parliamentary supremacy. Their lives were influenced by the shift towards more democratic forms of governance and the reduction of absolute monarchical powers.